The first Tomahawk that hit the Iranian coast on the opening night of Epic Fury did not come from a destroyer. It came from a submarine that had been sitting inside the Persian Gulf for 6 days. 6 days before the first public signal that hostilities had begun. Before the carrier strike groups repositioned. Before a single Lucas drone left an LCS flight deck. The submarine was already inside the cage, and Iran had no idea. That is the variable nobody is talking about. Not the carriers, not the Marines. The boat that was already there. Subscribe to Navy Decoded. We do not guess here, we calculate. Why carriers cannot do what submarines can start with the constraint that shapes every decision at Hormuz. The Persian Gulf is 540 nautical miles long and averages 150 feet deep, shallow, confined, and wired by Iran over 40 years with mines, coastal missiles, and fast attack swarms designed specifically to destroy large surface combatants. A Gerald R. Ford class carrier draws 37 feet of draft and costs $13 billion. The risk calculus of pushing that hull into the strait does not work. Lose a carrier, and you lose 5,000 sailors, the air wing, and the political will to continue. CENTCOM has been explicit about this geometry since 2019. Carriers hold the perimeter. They do not enter the bathtub, but the bathtub still has to be solved, and solving it requires current intelligence from inside it. Not satellite imagery that is 12 hours old. Not signals intercepts from aircraft orbiting at 40,000 feet. Current. Inside. Real time. Only one platform in the American arsenal fits inside that water space without announcing itself. And it does not float on the surface. The Virginia-class attack submarine was designed from the keel up for exactly this environment. 7,800 tons submerged, 377 feet long, a reactor that provides unlimited range, and a critical operating number, effective performance in water as shallow as 80 feet. The southern shipping lane of the Strait of Hormuz averages 60 to 200 feet. The submarine fits. The carrier does not. 3 things a submarine does that nothing else can: capability. 1. Real-time intelligence from inside the threat envelope. The AN/BQQ-10 sonar suite on a Virginia-class maps every acoustic signature in its sector. Every Ghadir-class Iranian submarine that left its pier. Every fast attack craft engine running at night. Every mine-laying operation. That data feeds back to CENTCOM through an extremely low-frequency communications link that works without surfacing. The submarine hears everything Iran is doing inside the corridor. Iran does not know it is being heard. Capability 2. Special Operations Insertion. Virginia-class boats carry a lockout chamber for combat swimmers. Navy SEALs from SEAL Team 3 have pre-planned hydrographic reconnaissance missions for the Hormuz contingency. Before any mine countermeasure ship can safely operate in a sector, someone has to verify what is actually on that seafloor. That someone swims. The submarine delivers them without showing a hull above the waterline. Capability 3. Tomahawk strikes from a vector Iran never modeled. Every Iranian air defense battery and coastal missile system is oriented toward the Gulf of Oman and the Red Sea approaches. The threat comes from outside, from the carrier operating areas to the south and east. A Virginia-class positioned inside the Persian Gulf launches from a bearing that Iran's fire-controlled geometry never accounted for. The missile does not come from where the radar is pointing. The radar corrects. The missile is already past the coast. The coordination problem and how the Navy solved it. Here is the engineering challenge that makes submarine integration the hardest piece of the Hormuz equation. 3 attack submarines operating inside the Persian Gulf, none of them communicating actively. LCS platforms launching Lucas drone swarms on the surface. Arleigh Burke destroyers firing Tomahawks from outside the strait. F-35Cs running seed corridors from the south. Every asset is moving. Every asset is firing. And the submarine has to know where every friendly missile trajectory is without transmitting a single active signal. The solution is pre-coordination. The strike package is loaded before the submarine submerges. The submarine knows when the Lucas drones launch because it was told before it went under. It knows the time on target windows for every Tomahawk in the surface fleet's VLS cells because those windows were coordinated during the mission brief 6 days earlier. The submarine does not need to talk during the operation. It already knows what everyone else is doing. Cut the communication requirement and you cut the detection signature to 0. This is not new doctrine. It is a system the Navy has been engineering for 20 years and quietly perfecting in every major exercise since 2018. Hormuz was the first time it ran in live combat. It ran clean. What Iran prepared for and what it got. Iran's Hormuz defense was built around one model. Study American strikes in Iraq 1991, Iraq 2003, Libya 2011. The pattern is consistent. Carriers arrive, air wings suppress air defenses, cruise missiles follow. Iran built its entire defensive architecture around intercepting that sequence from the outside in. Bavar 373 batteries oriented toward the Gulf of Oman. Coastal radar covering the surface corridors where carriers transit. Mine fields positioned to slow surface penetration from the south. Fast attack craft doctrine built to swarm the escort screen before it establishes a perimeter. Every layer of that defense faces outward. None of it was oriented against a threat already inside. Iran has no reliable detection capability against a Virginia class running at 4 knots on electric propulsion in the acoustic clutter of the Persian Gulf. The Ghadir-class submarines Iran fields are diesel coastal boats optimized for mine, laying in shallow water. Their sonar is not the sensor array you need to find a nuclear boat running silent. Iran knows approximately where American submarines might be. It does not know precisely. And in that water space, approximately is not good enough to shoot at. The submarine was inside the cage before the cage was locked. Iran had no way to verify it until Tomahawks came from the wrong direction. The math that changed the opening strike. Run the numbers on what submarine prepositioning actually produced on the first night of epic fury. The Tomahawks that launched from inside the Gulf had flight times of under 15 minutes to targets on the Iranian coast. Surface ship Tomahawks launched from outside the strait needed 40 minutes to cross the Gulf of Oman and reach the coast. That 25-minute difference is not a minor variable. It is the gap between an Iranian coastal battery that has time to relocate and one that does not. Mobile launchers that received the warning from Iran's own dispersal protocol and began moving had a 25-minute window if they were tracking the surface fleet launch signature against submarine Tomahawks that gave no observable launch signature and arrived in under 15 minutes. That window does not exist. The submarine did not just add firepower to the opening salvo. It closed the window Iran's dispersal protocol was designed to use. Targets assigned to submarine Tomahawks were specifically selected for mobility. Coastal missile batteries with wheeled transporter erector launchers. Command vehicles that could relocate in under 30 minutes. The static targets, the hardened facilities, the radar towers went to the surface fleet. The mobile targets went to the submarine because only the submarine could guarantee arrival before they moved. Honest caveat: shallow water operations are genuinely dangerous for nuclear submarines. The Persian Gulf's acoustic environment is one of the most complex on Earth. Shipping traffic creates masking noise. Thermoclines shift. An EM-52 rocket-propelled mine that activates on acoustic signature is as dangerous to a submarine as to a surface ship. And a submarine that has to rise to periscope depth to confirm a targeting solution is briefly visible. Briefly is long enough in a water space this contested. The 2024 Fleet Readiness Assessments showed that not every Virginia-class boat allocated to 5th Fleet contingencies was at full shallow water proficiency. Planning solved this by prepositioning the boats that were. Preparation did the work that training time could not complete. The risks were real. The results were also real. Submarine-launched Tomahawks in the first wave package. Ghadir submarines denied the mine-laying corridors they needed. The equation held. Why this rewrites the equation? Here is the principle that every defense ministry on Earth is studying right now. The carrier is the signal. The submarine is the fact. When Iran built its Hormuz defense, it planned against the signal. Radar networks to detect the carrier, missile batteries to reach it at distance, fast attack doctrine to overwhelm its escort screen. All of it oriented against a threat that announces its presence because announcement is part of its purpose. Carriers deter, they signal. They are designed to be seen. The submarine does not signal, it does not deter, it simply arrives and waits. Iran's defense was calibrated for American steel on the waterline. Visible, trackable, politically observable through commercial AIS systems that every analyst on Earth was watching. The submarine was never on any of those screens. It was in the water 6 days before the campaign began, listening, waiting, already assigned its targets, already inside the kill zone Iran had spent 40 years preparing. Iran solved the right equation. It solved it for the wrong variable. The carrier was the variable Iran prepared for. The submarine was the one that fired first. Dismissed.